Hello, good to have you on the program today, and it's a big pleasure that we're starting even as we ought to, even this day. Thank you for being there for us, and the program still remains The Economy Today. And Okechukwu here will be your host, as always, to ensure that we emphasize the fact that the economy needs to be what will not just be hanging up somewhere, but what should be close to us, what should be working with us, what we can reach out to even everyone around us. That's what we want to do on The Economy Today, on the program today. And we have a topic this day, and this topic today has to do with the things that are happening around us. It seems to be a funny one, I must say, but then it's a general one. It has to do with the generality of the matters of the people that are part of this economy today. We'll talk about that as we go on. But I must tell you that I have a guest who is already seated with me on the program. You're going to see him at the right time. But for right now, we will just go on to let you know that we have for today are things that will bless us and help us. You know, we have the masses in the country today. We have the populace. But the fact is that when we look at the fact that there are many of us living, the majority of people living in the country today, and a lot is happening, and they cannot, the majority of people in the country cannot say things the way they feel it should be. That's why we're looking at it. And so the topic is economy and the masses. Economy and the masses. And then looking at it, majority cannot have its say. You know, let's look at it this way and see what it is like. That is what we'll discuss. And then apart from the discussion, we also have our news package, that is the business news. And we still have the stock exchange, and we'll talk a little more about monetary matters. So please do stay with us and be part of it all as it is. And straight away, let's take the business news.
Nigeria's petrol import costs have surged following renewed tensions in the Middle East, with the landing cost of premium motor spirit rising by more than 15% to 1,135.73 naira per litre. Data from the Major Energies Marketers Association of Nigeria attributed the increase to fears of disruptions to crude oil shipments through the Strait of Hormuz. The report also shows higher import costs for diesel and aviation fuel, while the weakening naira added pressure on prices. Despite the rise, however, Nigeria maintains the lowest average petrol pump price in West. Nigeria's independent petroleum producers have called for coordinated reforms to strengthen the oil and gas industry and boost global competitiveness. Speaking at the 25th NOG Energy Week in Abuja, Independent Petroleum Producers Group Chairman Adegbite Falade says recent government reforms have improved investor confidence, increased oil production, and attracted fresh investment. He urged authorities to sustain the progress through infrastructure development, gas expansion, and a more competitive business environment. The group also called for tax harmonization, greater investment in human capital, and review of the Petroleum Industry Act. The International Maritime Organization has warned that continued attacks on commercial vessels in conflict zones threaten global supply chains, maritime safety, and international trade. IMO Secretary General Arsenio Dominguez condemned recent attacks on merchant ships in the Black Sea and the Sea of Azov, urging parties in armed conflicts to respect international law and protect civilian shipping. The organization warned that persistent attacks could disrupt global trade, endanger seafarers, and have far-reaching consequences for the global economy.
And that's as brief as it were the business news we have. We want to move straight away to get to the stock exchange to see what it's been, or the way it has been for a while. Let's look at that. There are losers and gainers and all that I know that you have, and so let's look at them, please. It's in the stock exchange. Let's begin with the main stock exchange itself. Wonderful. I'm working with someone that knows me and the way we do this. And so before we take these top gainers, let's take the main one, that is the NGX itself. Look at it and see the stories as they are coming. The Nigerian Stock Exchange, that's it. And so we'll look at the fact that the all shares index went this high, even as you're seeing it here, that the all share index went this high. And 242 and all that, and there is a gain, and this is 0.01% gain. That's the thing that is there, 0.01% gain. Apart from that, we also want to check what we also call the value trade. It's 53.3 billion that was traded, and apart from that, we also have other things that are there, and like in the volume, 624 million, and we also have the market capital. The market capital, and the market capital is this trillion that you have looked and seen as we are here. We'll also want to take some other things about it. That market capital is capitalization, rather, is one major thing that makes all the difference as looking at the NGX on a whole. And well, it's in trillion, 155.85 trillion, up to 720 billion, and 0.46% year-to-date return, which is 56.07, 56.07 for year-to-date. And you have also mentioned the volume, looking at and the value, the way it has come. Well, we'll just say good. As we move from that, let's get straight to the next one that has to do with the gainers, the top gainers. There are many gainers, but there are normally the ones who are the top gainers. So let's take the top gainers. And when you look at the top gainers, we have Learn Africa leading with, of course, 10%. At 9.90, that is 9 naira 90 kobo of gain, and 10%. Then also we have First Hold Co., that is First Bank Hold Company, that is having 9.98% to 72 naira 15 kobo gain. That's good. Again, apart from that, there is Thomas White. Thomas White Nigeria has a gain of 9.80%. And we're talking about 2 naira 69 kobo, 2 naira 69 kobo gain. And after that, Thomas White, we have the Nigeria rate. That is one that's called N rate, Nigeria rate. 9.71% is where they have got to, and the money is 13 naira 15 kobo, 13 naira 50 kobo. So if you like, that's just 13 naira. That's why you're seeing it there. That is the gain that we have. But then there were many gainers, as I said, but there are top gainers. Also, we'll go straight to looking at the losers. There were many losers as well, but then we have the top losers. And among the top losers, we have the international energy. Yes, we will look at it and see it because it is there. International energy insurance, that is Intense Genes. 9.86. It has 4 naira 66 kobo that they lost. There's legal internet that is 9.18, that is to 4 naira 45 kobo loss. Then the Fortis Global Insurance also lost to 7 naira 7.67% at 2 naira 77 kobo. The FTA and cocoa processors also lost, and they lost 7.55%, and it is to 8 naira 21 kobo loss. Finally, the international breweries also lost 4.79% to 13 naira 90 kobo, almost 14 naira. That is the way it is. The gain was driven by renewed buying interest in medium and large cap stock, especially banking, insurance, consumer goods, and real estate. Financing stocks dominating the gainers chart. That's what you saw even as we have done this. There are the three major people that did did the work, the people that put in money most there. I think we have it. The top active traders. There are 3 of them. As always, we always have the 3 top movers, or if you like, top active traders. First is First Hold again. First Hold Co. put in money effectively, and they put in 22.3 billion naira. And GTCO, that is also bringing in 2.8 billion, while Access Co. put in 46.1 billion. That is the way we have it from them, the way they have done it this time. But then, looking at all that, there is still a lot more that happened, but it's not all of it that you also get to see. But a continued last week's strong rebound, where investors gained 9.3 trillion naira in 5 days, and ASI rose, that is Asia Index, rose 6.4% to 243,798.76 points. That's it. And that is just what we'll do, and let it be with that for now. And in the oil market, we have Brent crude. In the oil market, we have Brent crude doing 78.81. Brent crude doing $78.81. At the percentage of 6.27. Then the WTI, which is the one that is first there, the WTI crude oil is that is West Texas Intermediate crude oil, is at a rate that is well, from what you have there, it is 80.42. But then we'll go on with that, and then Brent crude having that one too. Then we also have the Marban crude having 81.64, and that is, these are dollars, of course, $81.64, and the OPEC basket is based on 75.09. That's why they were trying to ask Nigeria to get out of OPEC so that we can make something better out of it. But as it goes on for now, there are people who gained and people who lost. The West Texas Intermediate gained $1.08, and that's why it is there. And Brent crude also gained $1.27. That is 0.30%, while Marban crude lost, and OPEC basket, of course, lost. This is it for now. We'll still continue to talk about them as we go on, looking at other things that they have. And now, I want to say, not taking any break and getting on straight on to looking at this, I will say that we have what we have as the monetary review. So let's look at those stories. Let's look at the things that have happened, and it has to do with both fuel, like the Dangote increase in price, and the disagreement between him and the marketers, local marketers. Let's look at the monetary review. Marketers, others reject Dangote fuel pricing in dollars. Independent petroleum marketers and energy experts have rejected the Dangote Petroleum Refinery's decision to introduce United States dollar-dominated pricing for petroleum products, warning that the move could worsen foreign exchange pressures and trigger fresh instability in the downstream sector. The stakeholders who spoke in various interviews argued that while the refinery, as a private business, had the right to make commercial decisions pricing locally consumed petroleum products in dollars, could have wider economic implications. The Petroleum Products Retail Outlets Owners Association of Nigeria faulted the development, saying dollar-based fuel transactions could gradually push the country toward a dollarized economy and undermine efforts to stabilize the petroleum market. The Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria, IPMAN, on its part, urged President Bola Tinubu to urgently intervene and ensure the continuation of the crude for Naira arrangement, warning that tying fuel prices to the dollar could increase pump price volatility. Energy experts, however, offered divergent views on the policy, with some arguing that the refinery's decision was a commercial response to foreign exchange risks associated with crude procurement and refinery operations, while others insisted that domestic fuel sales should remain anchored on the Naira as Nigeria's legal tender. CBN survey. CBN rising prices push up household business spending. That's what the CBN found out. The rising cost of living continued to put pressure on Nigerians in June, forcing households and businesses to spend more on everyday needs, according to the latest inflation expectation survey released by the Central Bank of Nigeria. The survey showed that although many Nigerians still believe prices are too high, there is growing hope that inflation will begin to slow in the coming months. The CBN surveyed 3,450 respondents, made up of 1,867 businesses and 1,583 households, to gauge how Nigerians perceive inflation and what they expect in the months ahead. The survey also adopted a new 5-point rating system introduced in April 2026 to capture more detailed responses. Nigeria's inflation rate has remained stubbornly high despite efforts to stabilize the economy. Data from the National Bureau of Statistics showed that headline inflation rose to 15.93% in May 2026 from 15.69% in April. It was the third state monthly increase and the highest level recorded since November 2025. According to the CBN survey, 67.5% of households said they spent more in June because of rising prices, while 66.8% of businesses also reported higher operating costs, showing that inflation is affecting both families and companies across the country. The report noted that soaring food prices, expensive electricity and fuel, as well as high borrowing costs continue to reduce household purchasing power and increase the cost of doing business. Concern over inflation remained widespread during the month. The Inflation Perception Index stood at 45.0 points, indicating that many Nigerians still believe prices are rising at an uncomfortable pace. Among households, 76% of respondents described inflation as high in June, compared with 72.8% in May. Businesses also continued to feel the pressure, although sentiment improved slightly, with 67.3% saying inflation was high, down from 68.4% a month earlier. The survey showed that the hardest hit businesses were micro enterprises, where 72.2% reported severe inflationary pressure. Large companies were not spared either, with 69.4% saying rising prices significantly affected their operations. Medium-sized and small businesses recorded 64.5% and 64.3% respectively. The report also revealed a noticeable gap between rural and urban communities. About 76.4% of rural households said they experienced high inflation, compared with 63.2% of urban households, suggesting that rising prices are hitting rural communities harder, possibly because of weaker supply chains, lower incomes, and limited access to goods. Respondents identified energy costs, insecurity, high interest, and exchange rate movements as the major reasons prices continue to rise. On the other hand, they considered the cost of raw materials and middlemen to be less important factors during the period under review. All right, that's it. That's how we will let it be at a time like this. And it's good because this particular review that we had to read to let it be long is the main thing that has to do with what we're talking about today, looking at the way the topic has come today. And again, what is the topic? The inflation, talking about the fact that inflation has affected the people. Let's look at that topic again and mention it. That is talking about economy and the masses. Looking at the economy and the masses, and how the majority of the people cannot even have their say, not to talk of having their way. Well, my guest is here with me already. As I said, he is seated here. He's been seated right from the beginning of the program, and he's there. The one that I have always said, he wears many caps. He is a businessman. He is a spiritual father. He is a horticulturist, and he does a lot of things together. And he's a youth sports organizer and motivator, and a lot more than I can mention, I must say. That's why I say he wears many caps. And as a businessman, and above all else, I always, like I refer to him on some occasions, like today, he is a human interest advocate. I'm talking about Sam Praise Itomo. Good to have you on the program again, sir.
The pleasure is mine. Good morning, wonderful people out there.
And even as you've come in, sir, you've seen what we have as our topic for today.
Yes.
And we're talking about the fact that this economy has dealt with the masses. And I know you as an advocate of the masses. What would you say about this?
Thank you. The topic is very interesting, and it will enable me to actually speak much today, and also the fact that it's a big topic with a very wide scope that will also enable us to address the biting inflation in our nation under this wonderful, prolific topic. Let me start with what we call policy implementation that affects the budgetary system in Nigeria.
Okay.
For instance, there wouldn't have been this level of hyperinflation that is dwarfing the common intentions of Nigerians if we have proper budget analysis.
Yes.
Every year we roll out our budgetary system, Ministry of Defense allocation, Ministry of Water Resources, Ministry of Agriculture, Ministry of Education, and a plethora of others. But if we have proper implementation of such humongous amount of money that is being rolled out to these different federal ministries, and not to talk of state governments, down to local government, that, you know, there was a time it was just on the state government allocation, and there was this argument that the local government are not getting what they are supposed to get from the governors and from the federal allocation. And then we now drove it down to the fact that, okay, let local government allocation go straight to them instead of passing through the governors and what have you, to reduce the fiasco. Now let's come to, let's take for example, Federal Ministry of Education. There was a recent argument that the government have said that down to WAEC, to write WAEC, NICO, and this, students are expected to pay 50,000 and on and on and on. And then the argument heated the the population,
yes.
the news agencies and what have you. And I also was told that the government now say, okay, we reverse it. But do you know that down to implementation?
It's just been suspended for a while.
It's suspended, but let me tell you something. I interviewed somebody yesterday.
Yes.
He said the recent one he wrote, he spent total of 90-something thousand.
Okay.
So on news it's a different thing, and implementation is, can't we have something to offer the population, the masses, considering the greatness of the Nigerian economy and the natural deposits of God upon our nation? This is an act of barbarism. Okay. So what the allocation to Ministry of Education, what is really being done with? And then remember that there was a riot at the Minister's Gate a few months ago,
yes,
where
yes.
the teachers were not being paid.
Yes, before we continue with all this, also remember that the budget, I don't even understand what's going on with our budget today, because the budget of 2 years ago, this is 2026,
yes.
2024, if it has been done with now, it must be last week that they concluded with that. It's been on all the while. Budget of 2024, budget of 2025, and even the budget of 2026. That is the
acid test of our crisis.
But then we'll still talk more about this, but we'll take a break, slight break. We'll return, please.
If we had a better structure, I thought I had some kind of stuff in mind to say geopolitical zones, and we had a plan that every geopolitical zone must have a power station, for example. That means we have a minimum of 6 strong power stations. Yes.
It's very important that we embrace these investors.
I think what they want to do now is to be able to make them understand that, look, going forward, it's not they're going to be business as usual.
Yeah.
Whatever that may be happening in the past, we want to now be able to put a system in place that will checkmate, correct the ills of the past, give us a new pedestal from which to stand and operate going forward.
Officially, what we get in the country, 79% is from crude, foreign exchange, 11% is from oil, from gas, natural gas. Between the two of them is 90%.
Welcome back. Please, we are just on and we want to make sure that we reach out to you in the best of forms, really. And so at a time like this, I must say, we were talking Sam Praise. I still have Sam Praise as my guest, and Sam Praise Itomo, of course, as I always say on these situations like this, is a human interest advocate. Thank you for being here with me today on the program. And I'm talking about the fact that you just finished with the Minister of Education.
Yes.
It's a lot. It's a lot with every segment of as far as the ministries, if you like, are concerned. But then, even look at it, the people themselves, and how did they find it? How easy has it been? That's why we say that the masses are in the majority, but the majority cannot have its say any longer. Not to talk about the way, because normally they say that the minority will have its say, but the majority will have its way. But in this case, the majority, that is the masses, can't even have its say, not talk of having its way. And thank God for the CBN survey that we handled, we talked about and looked at it. There are so many things that they mentioned about the rising cost of living, the way it has been put in this country of ours today, that the rising cost of living is getting out of hand. The survey, so the people that surveyed 3,450 respondents, made up of 1,867 house businesses and 1,583 households, to gauge how Nigerians perceive the inflation and what they expect in the month ahead. The survey adopted a new 5-point rating, introduced in April 2026 to capture more detailed purposes. But the main thing is that Nigeria's inflation rate has remained stubbornly high despite effort to stabilize the economy. That's what they said. Now, because of that, people are not even being permitted, let me use the word allowed or free, are not even free to say these things, because the one you say, nothing is coming out of it. And look at this period that you have been here, and we've talked about storage facilities. The government is still not doing anything to even help, because if not for the fact that, look at perishable goods, that they perish and just go like that because of lack of storage, because of lack of such things, the infrastructure decay. Talk about the roads, and so the vehicles that are carrying oranges from I don't know where, up north, yes, to point B, and then these are big lorries, and they got spoiled, and the oranges will be wasted there. No storage facility anywhere. I know we have silos, but these are for dry products. What about these perishable goods that we have everywhere? There are oranges, there are mangoes, there are so many such things. Apples, we have strawberry, we have blueberry, we have all these things in our country. We have tomatoes, we have potatoes, we have all these things. And without storage facilities, there is no way the economy will come down. The price of these things will come down. It will keep going high, because whoever that has these products, and these products, some of them will get spoiled maybe on the way or wherever. By the time they eventually take some to the market, they will factor the ones that have been wasted and lost into the price of the ones we have that are good that we want to buy.
Of inflation now, Prof, I want you to understand one thing. If you are bringing up people-friendly policies, then that's to say the government have a listening ear So from your topic, you say that the people don't even have a say, not talk of having their way. You know why? Because what I'm saying is, from policy formulation, we don't have problem in Nigeria, especially when it comes to policy formulation. The area we're having the major problem is policy proper implementation. Money budgeted for A is being used for D. No, it's not even within the neighborhood of the practical purpose of money being dispensed or budgeted for. So, okay, let me take for transportation, for instance. If you have gotten a loan or you have sold some of your goods to say, let me buy a lorry to enable us going to interland for the nooks and crannies of the farmlands and bring in yam from those local producers to the market where the consumers or the middlemen are available, and you've bought 2 lorries, do you know that your transportation scheme is widely dependent on the road architecture? So if you have a proper road architecture, then your intention to go into transportation to augment and ameliorate the gap between the local producers, the middlemen, and the final consumers, your trade will sell. But as you are talking now, those road architecture are not what they should be. So your lorry may not be able to deliver 1 or 2 programs, and then the lorry is packed up because of bad road. You are going down, your workers are going down, your drivers are out of job. Then the good intention of bringing that product from the local production centers to the urbanized areas is also defeated. That is number 1. If a government do not make policies and implement them properly, it affects the people down to the grassroots and incapacitate them. That's what I am saying, and I'm saying hammering. And the media is also solving a problem by advocating and letting the government, if they claim oblivious of what is happening to the contemporary citizens of Nigeria, that's why that's the work of the media. So you are projecting and lamenting for the people, so that if they claim they don't know, they are hearing it now. And like you say, we've been hammering it right here. We are telling them what's happening right there on the grassroots. If your politicians have a human face to their governance act, sir, this would have been something that will be thanking government and agencies for why, how the people are now celebrating. But now when they come up to make a speech, they tell you, say, the administration have done this, have done that, but that remains on news, and as if they are just deceiving and playing the blues, with us. So now, like I mentioned, the Minister of Education have federal allocation annually, and we are not seeing the derivation. Do you know that right now we have more children out of school than ever before in the history of this country? Simply because we are driven in SUVs, moving from conference speeches of transcorporating to intercontinental, all the 3- and 5-star hotels and cruising aeroplane. We are flying around the world, so we don't know what is really. Come to the street and see Alamajeris with shovel diggers on their shoulders are perambulating the street. Why do you think the security infrastructure is not working? It's because they're impoverishing, they have weaponized poverty on the masses, and then graduates have no jobs. So they have taken to cybercrime, they have taken to scamming. A lady was talking on social media the other day, say we no longer see husbands. So they've taken to TikTok advertising nudity and what have you. This is increasing what I call cybercrime. So why? The Ministry of Education is not working. The Ministry of Agriculture is not working, because as agriculture, I'm an agripreneur. Yes. I can't see soft loan to go down and do my work and employ, and also give what we call fresh meal to the buyers and the final consumers. So you are depending on the little you have, and then the little you have, you come out to put it on ground, and then banditry. So every segment. Okay, let me go on the Ministry of Defense. They are having federal allocation on annual basis, but if that humongous amount of money is being used properly, we don't need this insurgency that we are tackling today, that has become a cancer and a plague on our community, that communities can no longer survive. Okay, look at the education attack now. They are going from school to school, kidnapping pupils. So even if you have a little money to pay your world school fees, you are not also sleeping at home. Why? Because you don't know whether your baby that has gone to school is coming back that day. And on and on. So it's a whole lot, sir. For my opening speech, let me match break there.
Thank God that you're even talking about this, and we're thanking God for the fact that the kidnapped children have been released and with their teachers and all that. That is one. There are many others anyway. Yes. And I guess we're still going to take monetary review one more time, please. Right? Let's just place that monetary review again. There is a lot more that we need to talk about. What has to do with the naira and the reserve and all that. Let's talk about it a bit more. Naira slides to 1,281 per dollar. Reserves hit 51.74 billion. The naira lost ground against the United States dollar at the official foreign exchange market last week, closing at 1,281.70. That is 1,281 naira 70 kobo per dollar. Even as Nigeria's foreign reserves climbed to $51.74 billion, the highest level in years. Data released by the Central Bank of Nigeria showed that the local currency depreciated by 11 naira 70 kobo, or 0.85%, from 1,370 per dollar recorded on July 3 to 1,381 naira 70 kobo as at 10th of July. The naira came under pressure for most of the week, weakening on 4 out of the 5 trading days. The currency opened the week at 1,271 naira per dollar on Monday, before falling to 1,279 naira per dollar on Tuesday. It remained unchanged Wednesday and weakened slightly to 1,279 naira 25 kobo per dollar Thursday, and dropped further to 1,281 naira 70 kobo per dollar on Friday, its weakest official exchange rate during the week. That is that of Friday, 1,281 naira 70 kobo. Despite the decline in the value of the naira, Nigeria's foreign reserves continue to improve. CBN figures showed that the country's external reserves rose to $51.74 billion as of July 9, an increase of $217.7 million from $51.52 billion recorded a week earlier. The reserves had crossed the $51 billion mark in June for the first time in about 17 years, supported by stronger foreign exchange inflows and the impact of CBN's reforms in the foreign exchange market. Now, this is what we have seen on the review. And you see, it is being made clearer when you say that the NGS can gain 720 billion naira in a day, and year to day is 56% gain. But that wealth is concentrated in equities, bonds, and large companies. The average person isn't holding stocks. The person that's on the road ordinarily is not among those people who are holding stocks. They are looking for what to eat. They are talking about. So all these great talks about stocks and all these things is good, though. But the average person is not part of it. Even with a bullish market, food transport and rent, they still bite. You know, so people see the economy is growing on paper, but don't feel it in their pocket.
You know, Prof, it's comical, like I do say, what you call the act of governance and the direct implementation we are seeing on the street is what I call the matrix of physical paradox. You know, we are saving our face. That you don't need to tell me any other thing again. The government are fighting heavy to save their face in the international community.
Yes, while their people are going down the more in poverty.
If I'm a father, for instance, I cannot be telling you there is no food at home when my bankers are always smiling and sending me complimentary messages because we are happy here. Yes. You are doing well.
You're saving money.
Why there is no food at home? So what kind of fatherhood is that, sir? So we are not looking for another prophet to come and explain to us what is happening right in our doorsteps.
Well, this is our country, and we will not run away from it. That's one thing I believe. Looking at it again, the economy and the masses, and of course that the majority cannot even have their say again. It is a difficult situation that we have found ourselves in. It's a very tight corner that Nigerians are being pushed to. I am not blaming any government. What I am looking at is the thing that is before me. What can we do to ensure that there is food for the masses? What can we do? There are certain things that are involved that we should think about. Again, I must commend the Ministry of Works for the wonderful superhighways that we're seeing, that they are talking about constructing. But even as these superhighways are going on, please let the Minister of Works and the Ministry of Works also look inwards. Apart from the superhighways, there are some other roads that are getting depreciated the more.
Is it goals
so that these local farmlands where communities where we have produce, let them be able to bring their goods out for others to buy and enjoy.
I have a question.
Because of the fact that there is no good road, it will be difficult for them.
Is this spirit that will ride on those super highways? And I don't even know how those projects are, going on, because we are having a rising scale of unemployment. And if super highways are being constructed, who are the people, working there on a daily basis? That's number one. And the electioneering process is already on board, and virtually every now and then you hear campaign on people going out to register for your PVCs so that you're able to vote. And
yes.
I will not dodge from my responsibility, number one, as a spiritual father to this country, to exonerate myself from blaming. I will have to blame the government and use it as a platform to appeal to those who are seeking for public office in 2027 to don't follow this particular downhill trend we are seeing. The cries of the masses it has reached a crescendo. It hasn't been like this from independence. If you are vying for public office in coming election, please have the people at heart and work hard to know that you have something to deliver. And when you are campaigning, don't go about destroying the image of others. Tell us your political manifesto. Tell us what you are about to come and do that is different from what we have seen. That's my little appeal for now. I don't know.
Well,
it's wearisome.
What bothers the people, I keep saying, is the fact that, and I've said it severally, that Nigerians are so good. This country, we have very good people.
Patient people.
Yes, we don't even have to bother about the fact that our goods, that there is no money. Because the little money you give a Nigerian, all the Nigerian requires is, well, let me say, as we are finding, it's a good thing that in the FCT, roads are being constructed and things are happening, and they're even getting to talking about opening up roads to that leads to some so that they can bring food out for others to buy. Someone was telling me about that last week, saying that there was this other road that has just been done, that he went through that road and went to a village, yes, and that found goods at very cheap rates because of the fact that the roads to lead to that place has been opened up.
Yes.
May they please do the same in other states. And so people will ask, what are the governors doing in their states? The governors, the areas where you have good products. Open up the roads to such places so that people can find food. And you even help the people who are the farmers so that they can also use the money to do some other things.
Yes.
Our people, the masses are truly suffering. You can't take it away from Nigerians. But the one beautiful, wonderful thing about us is that our people are so loving and so caring that in spite of all these things, they are still living their lives. That's why they say, that some time ago they said Nigerians are the happiest people in the world.
Look at content creators on social media now.
Yeah, because of that they are going through a lot, but you can't see it in their faces. They are still moving on. So let the little that government should do be done. Again, I say the FCT administration is doing great, but what about the others around? What about the others around? And the other day, the Minister for Works was saying that these superhighways that are being constructed will help to reduce insecurity. That's what he said. I hope it will be so, because I think what he's saying is that if the roads are smooth for people to pass and go through, the people who are the kidnappers and all those things will not be able to come. Yes, and because it happens most when you have roads that are bad. So we pray that all these things will be brought together somehow so that we can have what we ought to have in this country. Again, I ask, what would you do for the masses so that they will be able to find food on their tables on a daily basis? That's the most important thing. We're not talking about changing shoes or changing clothes, changing wares. We're talking about getting food on the table on a daily basis. That's why the CBN survey, which forms the major part of what we are doing today, has gone on to explain it the more. That, I mean, it is true that our money is growing, but our people are going down. There is problem. Foreign exchange is growing. Internally, there is problem. I didn't say. It is the survey from the CBN that we're looking at. And that's even where the topic came from in the first place. So what can happen? Glory be to God that the governor of the CBN would also be able to pass this message across to the people who are in authority above all else. Because I think the governor of the CBN is able to talk with the president and whoever that is, whoever that are ministers around, and tell them this survey, the result of this survey. Because a lot is happening. Nigerians are going a lot.
Medically, it is said that proper diagnosis is 50% the cure. So
exactly.
I give kudos to the CBN governor for using his intellectual prowess to bring up, this is what we call the X-ray of the internal crisis in Nigeria. If your foreign reserve is being celebrated, what about the members of the family? Are they celebrating that with you? So you are not just selling your political ambition, but you are truly genuine and feeling the pains of the masses. So let's like you talk about the road architecture, the benefits of this road architecture is beyond number, and that on its own does not solve insecurity, because insecurity is a mindset of a people that just believe that the real Nigerians are impostors and that the country belongs to them. Now they have truncated the agricultural sector, they have truncated the educational sector, because a lot of, apart from inability to pay school fee, there are parents that have the money, and now it is even this, because government schools do not offer much anymore, so a lot of parents are taking their wards to the private schools, from nursery to primary to secondary. There have never been a time in Nigeria that we have so many private schools as it is today. And of course, if public school is offering you 5,000 for school fee, private school are offering you 40,000 and 50,000 for school fee. So you can see yes,
because they can't help it.
Of course, now then it is also these private schools that these elements are invading to capture both teachers and pupils. And so, apart from road architecture, let FCT minister also know that you are a father to the population in FCT. So it was an eyesore when I saw that riot some months back at the minister's gate. So because pupils are being at home without going to school. No, it should be all encompassing. As educational sector is being touchlight, the road network is being touchlight, the economy of the people within FCT should be touchlight. And again, there should be something going on to reduce cattle rearers, invasion in our streets, wheelbarrows, generators. See, in front of my business center there, you see all those federal government infrastructure like lighting, solar powers that is being installed to give light at night. In the night, these same almajiris climb poles like lizards. I witnessed many. They climb those poles at night and remove those bulbs and the cables that energize communicating from the solar to the bulbs. And this is going on. If you come in front of that minister's hill, there is no light going on there at night. From there, on your way to AYA, none of the light is working. Tapape Junction area is now what I call the den of criminals.
Because of the fact that the lights have been taken away by
FCT minister is putting those infrastructure, but there is no what we call surveillance system.
That to be watching to ensure
police surveillance, the civil defense, and one of it, there should be regular patrol. As one vehicle is going on, just once in a while you see the military van patrolling there. So what this criminal does, I saw one day, I came there to do prayer in the night, and I saw it. So I was hearing sound at the road, and when I look, it was the Babambola. They were busy using saw to cut the pole. So when the car is coming, as the light shine on them, they lie down. And when the car passes, they resume their duty. And they operate for 3 hours. No security agencies is patrolling there. Sometimes I have to call the police nearby. We are coming. Before they come, these guys have finished and have gone. And the market of Babambola should also be discouraged. Because if they vandalize this thing and they have nowhere to sell it, they will be discouraged. Please, FCT minister, we like your road architecture, but please consider much more the livelihood of your the population teeming in FCT.
Well, that is, we have seen that, and a lot is involved in all this. What we keep saying, that the fact that these young people who, in most cases, I must tell you, in most cases, they don't even have any home. They are just roaming. They sleep wherever they find. And so as a result, the express road is free, and these flyovers, yes, they have good and comfortable places under them, you know. So most of the time they go and sleep under the flyovers, and so they don't have much to. Yes, and so they come out.
Handbags,
yes, and all that. So they come out and do whatever they want.
Property,
these
people are government properties. Government don't allow your properties to become a nightmare on your population.
So please let there be provision for everybody. If there is before
IDPs.
Now we were told about welfare schemes.
Then empower them.
Let there be more of actualization or practicalization of welfare schemes in this country. Because if there were to be welfare schemes, these fellows will not go about looking for how to destroy, how to vandalize government property, and of course, what do they want to do? They will sell it and use the money to eat.
That's what they do.
So
you buy wheelbarrow 100,000, this one come and carry and sell and 10,000.
Sell it for 20,000.
Abuja Environmental Protection Board is supposed to pack them to IDPs where clinical services will be given them, education will be given them, tailoring, all these vocational, stuff. We empower them. When they have something to do, when they come out, they become better citizens.
Yes. Well, that is it for today. That's the way we want to conclude for this particular topic, economy and the masses, and then the masses not having, the majority not having their say. I want to say thank you so much to you, Sam Praise Itomo, for coming. As always, coming to rescue me, coming to be part of this and safe situation in most cases. Thank you so much for being there always.
We bless God. The pleasure is mine. God bless you, wonderful Nigerians. I love you.
I also want to say thank you to you, dear viewer, for being there and watching and being part of what has happened today. Without you, there is nothing we're doing.
No audience.
It's because of you that we're doing what we have found ourselves doing here. Thank you so much for being there for us. And now, I want to thank all the fellows with whom I've worked, some young people around that have also helped to see that the package is perfected. I want to thank all of you. I want to mention that I have had a Sosa Hizoje. Thank you so much. Hizigerada. Thank you for being there. Elizabeth Ahiaba. Thank you for being there. I also have had Michelle Oshege. Thank you. I hope you're not showing anybody any shege. Michelle Oshege, thank you for being there. Simon Maji, thank you so much. Bright Chukwebue, thanks. And Oluwaseun Adejumo, thank you. Victor Chizea, Victor Adeye, my editor, great man. Thank you so much for all that you've been doing. Felix Akinjabula, I'm grateful to everybody that has helped one way or the other in this program today. I want to say it's been great. I won't forget that Ifrem Omona has also been of assistance to me greatly this day. Thanks to everybody. This is Okechukwu Anubogo. And I want to say, till we meet again, may the very best happen to us all the time.